All right. Hey, guys and girls. How's it going? Hope you guys are having a great week. So this is the first of many podcasts. Hopefully we're going to do this every month where me and my friends are going to get together and talk about some general gaming topics. So let's introduce everybody who's in the podcast first. Obviously, you guys know me, Kate.
Sam.
I'm Dante. Remember me?
I'm the Ranty One Edge.
And I'm Fish. I've done a couple of things with Kate and Dante so far.
You have. Hopefully we're doing more things in the future.
Yeah.
All right, so the first topic that we're going to talk about today, guys, is one that I saw about a week ago in the news, and it's basically focusing on advertising in video games, which was talking about the amount of money that the big three basically spend on advertising. So it said in August, Nintendo spent about $4.5 million on TV adverts, 14 commercials specifically, which aired over, it's lots of figures, 1,600 times. Sony in August spent $2.5 million on 3 adverts, and Microsoft spent $1.3 million on 1 advert promoting Madden NFL 18, because, that's like the only actual exclusive that they've got coming out this year. Sorry, Microsoft. It's true. You've got limited exclusives. So I want to start off by talking about why Nintendo is spending so much money on advertising, why we think this is. So anybody like to go first?
I'd like to think it's because they're learning from their lesson that they actually need to advertise. Sure, though, there were adverts for the Wii.
Yeah.
There were for the Wii U. Not as much for the Wii U. And I think very much the quality of their adverts as well is improved. It reminds me a bit more of the delightful days of the Gaming 24/7 advertising campaign they ran for the Game Boy Advance and later the GameCube. That, to me, very much was a peak in Nintendo's advertising revenue.
Yeah.
It was just that little bit out there, that little bit weird. Sure, some of it wasn't exactly what you would consider PC. Of that, screaming to mind the one with all the dwarves dressed as Pikmin running through the centre of New York City, getting a guy a hot dog.
I did not see that.
If you've not seen it, it's
really
delightful.
serious.
If you look up Pikmin 2 commercial on YouTube, you will see it.
Right, I'm going to put
I
a
can
link
put
to that, guys, in
yeah,
the
yeah.
comment section below, so you guys can check
Okay,
that
I
out.
have it in the
Hopefully I
background
can
now.
find it.
It's a very, very...
Randomly
Okay.
Japanese kind of thing.
It's an advert where zero were given about what was actually going on. Clearly nobody actually thought, you know what, some people might be a little bit offended by this, but they just released it and it was great. It was also the era of marketing where we saw old people throwing each other off the deck of ships while playing Mario Kart on the Game Boy Advance.
They had fun with it, and it stuck in your head, and people remembered it and went for them.
And the grimmest of all, which has always been one of my favourites, which is a guy walks into a public toilets playing a Game Boy Advance, walks up to the urinal.
Oh, I think I've seen that one.
Yeah, he walks up to the urinal, doesn't do anything except shake his leg, and then walk away from the urinal again while still playing a Game Boy.
Which is hilarious.
And it's grim and very un-Nintendo. But at the same time, it was beautiful in the sense that they've kind of gone, yeah, guys, this is a thing, deal with it.
So I think maybe one of the other reasons that they're focusing so much on advertising, because I don't want to get too lost on the tangent talking about examples of adverts, which are hilarious. But I think maybe Nintendo has started to realise that they've started to lose their base in North America and Europe. So when you go to Japan, and I've lived in Japan obviously for 4 years, as you guys know, there is so much advertising when it comes to Nintendo, their consoles. It's everywhere. You can't
Subway posters,
escape
billboards.
Yeah, Subway everywhere. So I think maybe they've realized that they need to put more marketing out there in North America and Europe for people to, because obviously we are hardcore fans, right? Like you guys, like Edge, Sam, Fish, Dante, you guys have played Nintendo since you were young, growing up. But I think Nintendo started. Okay, yeah. Well, not as much as these guys, I know.
Yeah, I've played Nintendo.
Whereas,
I've played Mega Drive.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I was more of a Mega Drive kind of player.
It's all on Commodore 64.
Yeah. Oh, old school. I remember those days. But I think maybe they're starting to realize that they need to bring in some new blood
They've definitely branched out more with the YouTube advertising as well, I've noticed.
Yeah.
You barely ever saw that many, like, at the beginning of videos, anything, but now there's been a lot of them from...
Mario Odyssey in particular, I have seen so many adverts for.
Sun and Moon was getting adverts for them popping up everywhere. There's been a few of them, and it's like, I don't normally see that from Nintendo.
I'd like to think that probably another more obvious potential reason is, again, Nintendo just released a new console, the Switch, so they're trying to get their base up. So they're going to try and keep it on your mind that here's a new console, here's what you can do with it, and then get those first numbers in. Mario Odyssey is one of their biggest games coming out in Christmas. And that's just, again, you're trying to get the initial people to buy the console, use it, and then they'll...
We are coming up to the Christmas season, so, again, there'll be what is the biggest toy in demand for this Christmas.
It's not going to be the Xbox One.
I'm very much I'm very much on board with the idea that Nintendo, when they launched the Switch back in March, were doing it as what people have started calling it a soft launch. They were getting it out there so that it would be in people's homes, so that people would be talking about it, people would be wanting to play it, or people would be able to show their friends about it. And it would give them the time to judge how much demand would be needed, so that come the Christmas period of this year, they'll actually have stock in shops for it this time.
We'll see, because Nintendo don't have a great record when it comes to stock.
Which is going to lead me on to my other point about Nintendo's marketing at the moment. They're doing a great job of marketing things and getting the word out there and saying, hey guys, so we've got these products, look at them, they're shiny. And then they all get snapped up by scalpers and there's not enough stock of them to go around. I have a couple of friends who have been absolutely screaming that they can't get hold of the Legacy Edition of Samus Returns because it's got completely snapped up by scalpers. I think one of the other problems, and it's not marketing, but it is somewhat marketing related, is they get the word out there. And you can't rely on a price of a Nintendo product anymore. The most recent one which we saw was the Breath of the Wild Heroes amiibo, which have gone on sale gone for pre-order on Games website. And they went up for pre-order at £80.
Holy crap.
And then 2 or 3 days later, they went up for pre-order on Nintendo's official store in the UK at £50. So it's like that's a £30 difference there, game. I mean, ridiculous. What are you playing at? I'm sure you've got an RRP there, but that's got to say something for the state of the gaming community now, when the retailers themselves are the bloody scalpers. You're ripping your own customers off.
I think that's a problem with the Nintendo. I mean, obviously, we're getting off on tangent.
Again,
but I think that is a problem with most of the games are very much priced very, very high and don't tend to come down for quite a long time. Look at Destiny 2, for example. When the game was released, it was £50, right? Yeah. Now I can buy it online for £33. And that is only a couple of weeks after that game's come out. I think one of the biggest reasons that Nintendo have so much advertising, and I think this is one of the biggest strengths in Nintendo's favor, is the number of very, very good exclusives that are coming out on it or have come out this year. If we have a look at the big three, counting down exclusives for Nintendo, of course, in March we have Breath of the Wild. Potential game of the year, in my opinion. Absolutely fantastic game. You've got Mario Odyssey coming out on October 27th. Mario Rabbids Kingdom Battle, which came out. You've got Splatoon 2, which came out in June. You've got Samus, well, that's 3DS, but you've got Samus Returns.
It's a revamp. You've also got Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, which again came out. ARMS, although a new IP to the Nintendo franchise.
Skyrim,
I think it got a lot of publicity than any other new IP has done for Nintendo for a while.
And that's just a couple off the top of my head. I'm sure there are a lot more that I haven't mentioned. I'm sure you guys will pick up on it in the comment section. But if you have a look at Sony, this year they've had some very good exclusives coming out. Obviously Horizon, obviously Hellblade, which came out on PC and PS4, but I consider it one of the exclusives. Nier Automata, Persona 5, a lot from Japan in terms of Japanese RPGs, a lot of games coming out. Microsoft really doesn't have anything bar Madden, NFL, and Cuphead, which came out yesterday. All their big titles like Crackdown 3 is next year.
Was it this
Sea of
year
Thieves?
or last year?
Next year.
No, the Xbox One game where you're in the desert with like loads of robots.
Oh, that was last year.
Was that last year?
Yeah, that was last year. That was Recall, which was a
I-
very good game, and I did enjoy it.
I'm trying to think
But-
of ad campaigns for the other two,
There's hardly any.
which stick out in my memory. And I think I remember seeing a couple for...
Uncharted Lost Legacy, that's the one.
I think I remember seeing a couple of adverts or ad campaigns for Crash, the Ensign trilogy.
Yeah.
Lots for Horizon Zero Dawn. There was a large marketing campaign for that.
Because it's
in a cinema as well.
game, yeah. So I suppose
I see more. I suppose what I see from Sony's, I see more marketing for their console than I do for their games. Whereas Nintendo, I tend to see it's the other way around.
I disagree. I don't think...
With the exception of the recent Destiny 2 advert, which is everywhere. And
Constantly.
on
Destiny
average,
2.
I went out for bowling the other night, and it was on the TV in the bar, in the bowling alley, and I was like, what? And then there's Nathan Fillion. But it was an even longer advert than the one I'd seen everywhere else. I was like, this is on TV. I'm watching this thing play silently in the corner, seeing sequences which I haven't seen in this advert before, and the advert's been running for, 3 months now?
We kept seeing it on the channels in Poland, on
Yeah.
the TV there.
So the question it raises then is, with TV adverts, do you think, for you as a gamer, are TV adverts enough to interest you in buying a game? Or is there anything that you guys particularly do when you're looking at deciding what is it that makes you... Do you look at an advert and go, oh, that looks cool, I'm going to buy it, and therefore TV adverts are useful for you? Or what do you do?
Are you asking personally for me?
Personally
or do
for
mean
you, as a
whole for
gamer.
everybody else?
No, for you.
Personally, for me, I don't look at TV adverts or even social media. Recently, because of the cost of games becoming so much, I've been very picky when it comes to games. So generally nowadays, I kind of use YouTube reviews. So, for example, if someone's playing the game or playing a demo, or I've been part of a beta, to have a go of it, to get my own opinion of it before buying. The frustrating part that I have is things like IGN or things like professional game websites that focus solely on journalism to promote these. I've been burned too many times with previous games that they've said as really fantastic that I kind of just go, you know what, I'll make my own informed decision. So it's very hard to trust any sort of specific reviews.
No Man's Sky.
Yes,
I was trying to avoid those words.
Example.
Those were the words.
No,
Yes.
throw that thing under the bus. It deserves it. It came out with a patch recently, and everybody was like, "Oh my god, it's got a patch! It's going to be so much better." It's like, guys, it's been dead for 6 months.
Yeah.
You wouldn't try and resuscitate a dead guy 6 months later. Give it a rest. But I suppose the question isn't necessarily how much gaming advertising impacts your purchase. It's more, is it necessary anymore? Because there's a large element. Immediately, you've gone straight to the thing saying, well, you're influenced by what people have to say about a game on YouTube. It's not even that the advert is on YouTube; it's what people are saying about it.
Yeah,
there are so many people now who have begun YouTube channels, who've got enough notoriety with game companies to get copies of the game early, and who will be showing, 2 or 3 weeks before a game comes out, they're going, oh, here's the first 15 minutes of gameplay of this game. Now, granted, that's 2 or 3 weeks before the game comes out. I'm still a firm believer in that, yes, advertising is needed, both on the internet and in other media forms, because for me, a large part about an advert for a game is knowing that a game is coming out. That it exists in the first place. The question is, how do you advertise that? I know that there's complaints that a lot of game adverts nowadays actually show zero in-game footage anymore. Again, you look at the Destiny 2 advert, and there is no in-game footage in that advert.
Just Guardians dancing.
There isn't a single sequence of it.
No.
Nintendo use a fair bit of in-game footage for their adverts, but then again, my argument for the most successful backtracking to the most successful time period in Nintendo's marketing time, there wasn't any game footage in that. But what it did is the humour that was brought across through their adverts, or the tongue-in-cheek element to it, that's what intrigued me into that game in the first place. So
the question I've got as well is, my major beef at the moment is there too much advertising, even on YouTube? So one thing that really pisses me off at the moment is looking at new games coming out in October. So you've got Shadow of War, and you've also got Assassin's Creed Origins. In my opinion, there has been too much advertising through those channels where you're showing entire 30-minute segment of gameplay, or you're live streaming it for 2 or 3 hours, showing all features of it.
But like you said, like if you've got the new Assassin's Creed game coming out, and then you've got the Shadow of War sequel coming out, and you've got two games which, want to be the game you play at Christmas. How do you beat the competition? If one person doesn't advertise and one does, that means you've lost sales. You've lost that game. So, I don't think there's. I think the question is, in terms of too much advertising, is it too much to reveal? Are they revealing too much of the game itself to spoil?
Yeah.
Or do you mean, is it too much where it's the frequency of the adverts? Because with most people will just block it out. No, I would say that at the moment there's not too much information. There's not too much advertising. It's just potentially the way they advertise.
I had an issue recently with Uncharted: The Lost Legacy, where, and maybe it's because I am a YouTuber and therefore I do watch a lot of gameplay footage and things for my channel, so that I can obviously share that information from E3 and Gamescom and everything else. But there was this Uncharted: The Lost Legacy where they literally showed the entire first level and some pretty epic moments that happen in that first level. And when I was playing that first level by myself, and even like with Destiny 2, they showed the complete opening sequence up to Gaul turning up at the end of it, right?
Oh, I mean the beta.
Yeah, in the beta. And when you first play that moment in yourself for the first time by yourself,
seen it.
Yeah, it lacks that.
Yeah.
That first.
Yes, I mean,
experience.
imagine. I mean, and I understand what you're saying there, because your logic. Spoiler alert! Anyone who's not played the first Last of Us game, I shouldn't tell people to stop listening, but stop listening for like the next minute. If you played the Last of Us and that first scene where you're playing as his daughter, and the heart-wrenching way in which that first section of that game ends, if that was to be an advert, you'd take away one of the most powerful parts of that game. And just dilute it for then the experience for anyone to play it.
I get that, and I agree to a degree with that. But if you want to show what the game is about, is having not like look at Uncharted example. You've got Nathan Drake, and then you've got Sully with him in a car going down when in the last E3 is being chased by guys with guns. Which happens. Spoiler: happens in most of these games.
Yeah,
they're being chased by somebody with guns. And again, like. You're watching him going through all sorts of crazy stuff, but isn't that, again, its own way spoilers, because you then know what's going to come up. But it also gives an insight as to what the game's about. And again, with The Last of Us, when you're seeing these adverts where they have these, like, the music being played to show and hint at what sort of tragedy this is, the heart-wrenching decisions you've got to make, it sort of makes you go, oh, this could be an interesting game to play. So I get that you can't show off too much of the games. Like with movies, any media at all. If you look at TV movies or films in general, the Justice League movie that's coming out, a good example of that is they've already probably shown off half the movie, and people are already going, what's happened? Again, it's the whole point of do you show off too much, or do you get people excited to go and see it?
But this I suppose comes down.
Fine line, isn't it?
Yeah, this I suppose comes down to summarising it all in. a very depressing human condition, is in which that we all want to know more about something. Hence why there is a need for advertising, not only just from a company's point of wanting to sell their product, but from us as consumers, we want to know what something is, what something does. So how much of that knowledge that gets shared does a company control? Do they control themselves, what they put out there? And again, as we say with movies, we see trailers for films which have like some of the funniest scenes in a film, and then you'll go see that film and go, well, everything that was good about that film was in the trailer. I've been lied to go see it. But for an advertising purpose, it did exactly what it needed to do. It got you in that seat to watch that film. It doesn't matter that the film was shit afterwards. You bought that ticket and saw that film.
I think the main thing as well, I think you are right. I think as well, a lot of publicists like EA, Activision, they are wanting pre-orders because they want guarantee to know what guarantee sales they're going to have when that game comes out. And I think because so much money is put into games, and games are becoming increasingly more expensive to make, to develop,
no point pre-ordering.
to marketise. No?
There's no point pre-ordering. Why?
Oh, I don't pre-order now.
So it's the pressure then, isn't it?
It's the pressure of that.
Because there's how much did Activision stuff spend on Destiny games?
And
like
this
that?
and this pressure that you say doesn't actually come from consumers. This comes from shareholders.
Yeah, exactly.
Shareholders have this need to see people deliver. Every company falls foul of it.
And so the pre-order bonuses.
Yeah, this ridiculous thing. Hey, get a bonus for this. You pre-order this, get this, get this, get this. It's like they just throw shit at you to buy stuff now. Or the promise of stuff further to come.
Just to throw it out there, when people pre-order, why do people pre-order in the group right now? Why would you pre-order? To make it clear, when you pre-order, why would you originally pre-order years ago? You pre-ordered the game because you wanted
to guarantee
you got the game.
Copy,
Now, modern day now, think of it, why would you pre-order now?
For me, it's still the same reason, but it's less for a guarantee I get a copy of the game, and more guarantee I get a copy of the game. I mean, back when I was pre-ordering games and I was in my teens, I would do it because it'd give me something to kind of aim for. I'd know I'd have that coming up and I'd have to work towards it. Whereas now I'm just terrified that you won't get a copy because it'll have been scalped or there won't be enough stock. And the craziness of it is, pre-ordering a game these days doesn't even guarantee you that you'll get a copy.
No.
We've seen time and time again Amazon not being able to deliver on the pre-orders that they
Amazon
get.
as well,
And contacting customers. But back on this advertising part, when I'm saying how much you control what information goes out there, and again backtracking to the fact that companies now are giving YouTubers copies of their games to show, you are then taking control away. I mean, yeah, they have rules set, like you can't show this game footage like more than 3 days before the game is launched. Or I've seen people go, YouTubers go, hey, I've been sent a box from Nintendo. I've got no idea what's in it, but I'm going to do an unboxing video in 2 days. So they're doing a video about an unboxing video. It's like, oh my god, how meta is this? But then when it comes to the ones where they've got copies of this game, as a company, you are then taking it completely out of your hands, unless there are some conditions where, you are not allowed to show past the first level, or you are not allowed to show... you're taking on completely good faith that whoever you have given that product to is not going to record the entire gameplay and put it straight out there.
Yeah, because the way YouTube works, I mean, if they were to do that, they were to breach contract or agreement, you could flag that, you could... Sure,
but we live in a digital age where the moment it's out on the internet, it's out there.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter if you pull it from one source, somebody will have ripped it, it will exist. It's out there now.
Well, a perfect example of that is The Last Guardian. I saw, was it PewDiePie? He played it, how many months before the actual game came out?
Yeah.
And I only watched him just so to ask The Last Guardian, I want to see it. And it kind of spoiled the first sort of 20 minutes for me, but it was just because it was there. But then why was he able to
do
obviously
that.
do that.
Because he's so big.
I
That's the thing.
suppose that also leads us into a delightfully convenient segue into our
It
next
actually really does.
into our next
Yes.
topic discussion.
It
So,
really does.
So before we move on, do you want to summarise on the advertising?
I think advertising is good to an extent, so long as it's not overdone. You know, I'm happy that Nintendo are advertising more. I think that's good. I think it shows that they've got confidence in their products and in their games. And I think that's a good thing.
Do you know what I think the best free advertising methods are at
Go
the
on.
moment? Boot up the Switch. I'll get like a notification on the news section. That'll tell me something's happening. Go to the eShop. It's got a demo. Play the demo. That is the best advertising. Get a little segment of the game. See if you like it. Good. Done. Other than that, get emails directly from the company.
Yeah.
It's all sorted.
Yeah.
Don't worry.
Yeah, I suppose that is a good way as well for people that but you already have the console. You know, if you don't have the console, then...
But these are for the games, aren't they?
Yeah, I suppose so. Yeah. So yeah, I think you know, I think that's good. But I think so those are generally our thoughts on advertising. Kind of interesting.